Hi everyone, I wanted to make a serious video today. I wanted to talk about something that I've had witnessed in my life recently, and I want to talk to you guys because I want us to spread the word about it. I want us to start talking. I want us to start talking about MND. Motor neuron disease, or ALS in America. But yeah, MND is a terminal illness that attacks the central nervous system. So the signals from the brain to like the muscles, they don't work properly, which causes those muscles not to work. They start to waste away, basically. And this disease can affect how you walk, how you talk, how you breathe, how you eat, how you swallow. It just affects your whole body. It's a horrible disease, horrible disease. And sadly, I lost my dad back in February to this disease after he was diagnosed in 2013. But we got told after he passed away that he started with symptoms in 2011. So it was quite a long time really, from when it started to when he was diagnosed, and then not very long after being diagnosed to when he passed away. About almost 20 months, I think, maybe about 20 months, so not even 2 years. Now there are many types of MND. It's like an umbrella. That's just like the term for it is motor neuron disease. It's the umbrella of it. Some people it's very slow. They can live years, but like Stephen Hawking can live years and years and years, and it just slowly does what it has to do. And others, it's very quick, very aggressive, very progressive. It can affect only the upper half, it can affect mainly the bottom half, it can affect... Everybody is affected differently. My dad had a dementia aspect to it as well. He had frontal lobe dementia, which is... It doesn't mean he forgot who we were, he didn't not recognise any of us, because he did. We did right till the end. It affected his behaviour, so he would act out of character. He would swear a lot, which he never used to do. He would call people names. He kind of went into like a teenage lad mode. He liked the women and he just liked to have a laugh. And it did become very difficult for us near the end. I mean, his sentences were just not even sentences, it was just random words muddled together. He knew what he was all about. We had no idea, basically. First started, some of you will know because some of you will have read my blog post, which I explain in my dad's illness quite in detail on there. But I noticed my dad was something not quite right about him in 2012. Or maybe, yeah, 2012, very early on, 2012 I think, about January. Maybe in December 2011, I'm not quite sure. And we were sat in a cafe and he got a lottery ticket out and it was folded and he couldn't unfold it. And I was like, something wrong with your hands or something? And he was like, well, yeah, my hand is just gone really weak. And then as I looked at his hand I thought, that's odd. I mean, all of like this part here, it whole sunken in. It got all hollow. It's like there was nothing of his hand, just the skin holding it together basically. And immediately I thought, that's not normal. Something's not right there. I don't know what it is, but something's not right. Immediately called my brothers. I was like, have you noticed anything? And we'd all noticed that he sounded differently. He sounded a lot slower. It sounded like very slurred, like he was pissed, basically. And he kept obsessing about certain things. And so we noticed like that. without knowing that this was actually the dementia starting. For quite a long time, we were asking him, like, look how your hands are getting any better. I was asking people at work, like, what could it be? People were like, don't worry about it, it's probably just carpal tunnel. I was like, no, something worse is going on, something bad. And then, I remember he had lots of tests, and I went on holiday to America and he was having scans and stuff then, and then it was the June of 2013. No, it was late 2012 when I started noticing something was wrong, sorry, yeah. Late 2012, because he was diagnosed in the June 2013, and that's when, yeah, because I went to America the month before, and then when I got back, his sister, my auntie, came up and they went to the appointment to find out, and supposedly they'd said that they'd known from his first scan, his first test, they'd known it was motor neuron disease, and they had told him that it could be, but they'd also said that it could have been a trapped nerve in his neck. And because of how my dad's brain was going, he fixated on the nerve in his neck. So it took him a while to process the information. It did take him a while to process the information. Now, not everybody gets dementia with motor neuron disease. It's very well known that with MND, it affects the physical side, but it's not meant to mentally affect you. But it is now coming out that they can be linked. It can be linked. It can affect the brain. In a very small percentage, it can affect the brain. And unfortunately, my dad just drew the short straw of that one. That's just how it went. But I kind of feel like if he hadn't have had the dementia, it would have been very, very different. I think his body would have reacted very differently. In February, when he passed away, he could still walk. It was very limped, and he could still kind of talk, but it was getting very hard to understand him. Very hard. There was a lot of, can you repeat that? Sorry? Say that again? And then it was just like a lot of, oh yeah, I know what you're on about. I have no idea what you're on about. And he picked up on that, of course he did. He wasn't stupid. He might have been ill, but he wasn't stupid. And I think that's a very key thing to remember, is that these people who have MND, they might, if they can't speak or anything, people shouldn't treat them as if they're daft. You know, they shouldn't treat them that they can't hear them, or they're not clued up there, because they are. They know what's going on. They just can't say it. They just can't tell you. I had to explain a lot to people, because I was very open about it. I spoke about it a lot. I had to be very open with people and be like, look, this is what it is, this is what it's doing. Yes, he can still walk, yes, he can still kind of talk, but you know, it's affecting his swallowing. He can't use his arms, he can't use his hands, he couldn't couldn't open doors, he couldn't put seatbelts on, that type of thing. Although motor neuron disease, you know where you know the path that they're going on, you know the outcome, because there's no glimmer of hope when someone gets diagnosed with this. This is what it is. The outcome is, unfortunately, you're not going to beat it, unfortunately. What you aren't ready for is that, yes, your loved one might not be able to walk very well, might lose their speech and stuff like that, but the journey to get to that point is very, very scary. My dad had numerous falls. I was on Facebook today, and a year ago today, I spent, and I remember this day like it was yesterday, but it was a year ago, and I can't believe it was a year ago. I spent 5 hours in hospital with my dad because he'd fallen off a exercise bike at physio because he had no balance. He fell backwards and cracked his head open. Now, you're not prepared for those things. I wasn't prepared for his falls. I wasn't prepared for his like random crying of things. I wasn't prepared for those things. So I knew that he might never be able to walk. I knew that he'd probably lose his speech. I knew what was going to happen to him. But I didn't know, I wasn't aware of the things that would happen more to him on the way. And like the falls and the choking and stuff like that. And I think that's something that we need to tell people more about, because I saw him fall a few times and it broke my heart. It did, because it just happened like that, and all of a sudden he was down and he was in pain, and you're trying to say, what have you hurt, what have you hurt, and he couldn't tell me. He couldn't tell us what it hurt. It was those moments I found more distressing than the bigger picture, really. I wasn't prepared for those things. I wasn't prepared for the way that he was. I wasn't prepared for the way that he was gonna pass away. I think this is probably just my ignorance. I didn't research. But I do think these things should be mentioned more, because no nurses let us know these things. I had got it in my head that he would pass away from a chest infection. I thought he would get a cold, so I'd fear this time of year, because I thought, oh my god, people are getting ill now. If he gets a cold, he's not going to be able to fight it. If it goes onto his chest, he's not going to be able to fight it. That's in my head. That's how I thought he was going to go. And actually, it wasn't that at all. He had for a while, for a few weeks, he didn't want to eat, because every time he ate, he choked. And it scared him, as it would everybody. And then on this particular day, and I'll just put this out there, my dad was too ill to consider a peg fitting. So if any of your loved ones have been given this opportunity to get a peg, I would say please look into it, please. Because he was too ill to get one, and when he was better at the beginning he didn't want one, because obviously he didn't know how he was going to go. And what had happened was he'd had a choking episode that lasted about an hour and a half, or well over an hour, and it really distressed him. And the care home that he lived in, because he had no end of life plan or anything, they decided, and because he didn't want a peg, they decided enough was enough. He was going to be nailed by mouth. That was it. Got the phone call, look, he's possibly only got 48 hours left, you need to be with him, you know, all that stuff. From that phone call, he lasted 9 days. Completely nailed by mouth, very distressing. He was in a lot of pain. And I wasn't prepared for that either. Nobody prepared me for that. And I think that's something that we need to talk about, because we need to prepare people for, oh, that's horrible. We need to prepare people so that they can have the least distressing time and be comfortable. Because my dad wasn't comfortable for the majority of those 9 days. And it was horrible for us because we just had to watch. We couldn't do anything. I want us to talk about MND more and really talk in detail each other's stories if you know people feel like they can, because I feel like it would be very helpful to those who are just starting in this horrible journey. I knew nothing about motor neuron disease before my dad was diagnosed, and it became very apparent to me that not a lot of people knew about motor neuron disease. really for the most part it's unheard of, unless you know somebody who's got it, or if you know somebody who knows somebody who's got it. That's sad. It should be talked about more. It needs to be talked about more, because they need to find what causes it so that they can find a cure for it. A lot of people say that they're gonna fight it, but I believe that with my dad, he never fought the disease. He just fought to live. He just wanted to live. And I think when you're given a death sentence, that's the only thing you can do is fight to live until a cure is found and a reason for why it's even caused, really. Because people's lives matter. Our family's lives matter. My dad's life mattered. It kills 5 people a day, and my dad's just now one of the numbers in that list. Which is awful. If people would talk about it, talk about their stories, because I think the more we talk about it, the more it's heard. The more that it's heard, the more people will listen. I'm sorry this was a bit of a rambly, emotional video. I just felt like making it, really. So yeah, I'll put the link of the Motor Neuron Disease Association in the description below, so you can go have a look at it, read up about it, even donate. Please, let's get MND out there. Let's get it known about even more. Let's get people listening to us. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.